Who can resist watching a stress-relieving and sleep-inducing wilderness video when they can't sleep? He's the savior for late-night insomniacs. After watching, you're guaranteed to drift off into a beautiful dream. Quickly grab your phone with about 99% battery, find the most comfortable position to lie in, and let's slowly enjoy this stress-relieving and healing process together. It's a morning with the first light snow. The hard-working Jack arrived in the barren wilderness early in the morning, attempting to build his own luxury log cabin. At this moment, he has already built a simple fireplace. He wants to use fire to burn off the impurities on the surface of the stones. After the stones have been thoroughly burned, Jack went nearby and chopped down all the wood he needed, preparing to start building his own luxury log cabin. First, he moved all the cleaned stones to the side on the ground. Then he took a few stones to use as 4 cornerstones for the cabin. He then carved notches into the 4 corners of the logs so that the poles would fit perfectly without wobbling. Subsequently, he brought over several more small poles and laid them all on top to create the floor. He took a few small poles, sharpened them into a conical shape, and inserted them into the 4 corners. Then he went to collect some dry weeds from the surroundings and laid them underneath. Above, he used more poles pressed down to form the walls on both sides, preventing gaps between the poles. In a short time, the walls were formed. Because Jack wanted to build a slanted ceiling, the current height of the 2 walls was just right, so there was no need to stack them higher. Next, it was time to build the shape of the cabin. He took 2 stones and a pole to form a base underneath. He then used 2 old poles to divide the 2 sides in half, propping up the tallest pole in the middle to support both sides. He then hammered in a few small poles one by one to form a triangle, outlining the shape of the cabin. Afterward, he went to dig up some mud in the vicinity. He spread it on one side as material for building the stove. He then laid stones on top to create a platform. He used the mud as cement on top, building the stones into the shape of a stove. He inserted an old pole in the middle to leave an exit for the smoke. He then enclosed the stove with wood on the outside for waterproofing. In a short while, a chimney about 2 meters high was built by him. It was time to start a fire and test if this stove was built sturdily. Watching the smoke curling up, you could tell this stove was incredibly stable. Next, it was time to continue the construction of the mountain cabin. He first took some small poles to build the remaining walls, leaving an opening for the doorway on the side. He then completely sealed the wall on the stove's side. He removed the excess parts on the side, leaving a smooth surface for the subsequent construction. He then went to borrow some wooden boards from nearby to build the ceiling on both sides. He first fixed all the boards on top, leaving a space for a window in the middle. He covered it with the remaining boards, and a simple ceiling was thus completed. Now, only the wooden door and window were left to be installed. He took out some leather he borrowed from somewhere and used it to connect the house and the wooden door. Then he took out a ready-made doorknob and fixed it to the door, installing a safety lock on the inside. He then installed the remaining window. At this point, the exterior of the cabin was completely finished. Looking at this perfect joinery, it's not hard to guess how skilled Jack is. With such superb carpentry skills, he could find a good job on a platform like 58.com, where there are many jobs. After the exterior was finished, it was time for the interior. He brought in 2 pieces of timber, embedded them in the wall, and fixed them in place. He then laid some thin poles on top, and a simple single mattress was made. He used the remaining wood to build a table. The simple interior was thus completed. Next, it was time for the long-awaited dinner. He took out a whole piece of peppa, pork, sprinkled some collagen seasoning on it, and then threw it into the stove to bake. He then added 2 small potatoes to accompany it. Now, all that was left was to quietly wait for dinner to be cooked. After just 2 minutes, dinner was ready. Next, it was time to fill his stomach properly. After finishing dinner, Jack was ready to sleep. After all, a new day of hard labor was waiting for him tomorrow.